This is Family Twist, a podcast about astonishing adoption stories and finding family via DNA magic. I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey, and we've been inseparable partners in life since 03, 04, 05, also known as March 4th, 2005.
In January 2018, our found family journey took us 3,000 miles from the San Francisco Bay Area to New England, where we now live near my biological father, two half-siblings, and their families. We love being near them all, and the adventure continues. We're excited to introduce you to Natalie and Ryan, found siblings with a story 40 years in the making.
Natalie, Ryan, you want to share a little bit about your background? Were you adopted as a child?
I was. Our father, 9 months apart, I was born first. And I was pretty much immediately adopted by what I call my dad. So basically 21 years later, literally on my 21st birthday, as I'm having a beer with my dad in a bar, he proceeds to tell me that, that he's not my real father, that he's my adopted father. And that, my father's somewhere a couple cities over. And I was like, yeah, so that was my 21st birthday, in a nutshell. And that was in Ohio. We both were in the Ohio area, Northeast Ohio. And we literally come to find out that, essentially we lived two cities over from each other and didn't know nothing about each other.
Wow.
And all kinds of other things too. Working together and...
Well, then Ryan wanted to meet his biological father. So then I'm getting a phone call from my dad, who, in my eyes, did not raise me, but was kind of there-ish. And he said, I need you to come over because I need to talk to you. And I was like, ooh, that was a red flag. I knew something was going on because he did not ever do anything like that. So I went over there. He's like, I just wanted to tell you that you have a half brother. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, and he's coming over this weekend. Did you want to come over for a picnic? And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
We determined that was in the summer. This was actually 20 years ago.
We had an outdoor picnic.
Yeah, so Ryan knocks at the door. I go to answer the door. And when I open it, I'm like, hi, I know you. And that is when we realized that we had worked together when we were in high school.
When was this summer?
When Ryan turned 21. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so my birthday's in January, and that's like I said, on my birthday, you know what I mean? That's when my dad told me, and basically somewhere in I would say July, August time frame was when, my mom and my grandmother actually got in contact with my actual father. And I kind of was talking, and then he suggested, coming and meeting them.
So we then realized that we'd worked together, and we met. We don't really remember that much about that day. I know someone took a picture, but we don't know where it is. Ryan brought his girlfriend with him. I brought my boyfriend, and then we had an awkward picnic in which we were like, thank God we didn't date. And then it was I know we exchanged our phone numbers. But then it was just, I don't know, when you're that age and you're young, you're just not thinking about stuff like that and really how important that is. And so, shame on me. That was just, okay, well, we're kind of moving on with life. And then the year when we all turned 40, I was with one of my really good friends, and she was just like, I just want to let you know, I think it's just really messed up that you have a half sibling walking around and you don't know him, and that is not who you are, And I was like, you are right. And so right then I messaged my dad's wife, my stepmom, and I was like, I need you to tell me everything that you know. Well, she only knew his name. That's it. And I knew he lived in Ohio. So I was trying to figure it out. I could only find voter registration information. So I thought, well, I guess I'm sending a letter in the snail mail. But then something said to me, now people, because I could not find them on any social media. I'm like, now people that don't do social media, what do? They do LinkedIn. So I dusted off my account, and I sent Ryan a message on April 9th. at like, I don't know. It was like, do you remember the time?
It was like 9:08.
Yeah, it was like 9:08. And I was like, hey, Brian, it's Natalie. You might remember me. We share the same DNA. Oh, I didn't say it like that, though. And, I was just like to the point, and he messaged me back within the minute. The same minute. Oh my gosh. Like, I've been looking for you and I didn't know how to find you. Here's my phone number. Call me or whatever. And then that was pretty much it, We just then started to like, just get to know each other. And yeah. And so we have a ton of things in common. So that was April. So then like April, May, we're just kind of like, getting to know each other again. And I'm a teacher. So school was out. My best friend was like, do you want to go up there? And I'm like, yeah, I want to go. Come on, let's go. And so right as school was out, we drove up to Ohio from North Carolina. And I still have, friends and family up there too. So then we all just kind of like reunited, like for real, the right way. And it went awesome. It was amazing. I will tell you though, I lost probably 10 pounds because I was so nervous to meet him and his wife. I was like, that could go so many ways, right?
Right.
And I knew that, because we talked like every day. So I knew that was going to be good, but I wasn't sure like things that come into play, right? It's like, he's a man, I'm a woman and we're married and you don't know like how everyone's relationships are going to like play out and how they're going to work and if it's going to work. So there was just a lot going on in my head. And everything just went perfectly. Like you could just make it a Hallmark movie, I think. Have you guys ever seen that movie called, I think it's called Three Identical Strangers? Only thing that I watched that I kind of like felt validated, because those three men who were identical strangers, they were raised separately. And then when they all met each other, the things that they were saying, like when we met, we felt this way, and I was like, oh, okay. Cause that's how I felt. Right. You kind of like felt like I kind of felt like I was like something weird was like, I was like, something's weird happening to me, or am I reacting weird, or is this wrong? You know what I mean? It's just, how many people do you know this happened to? I mean, not that many.
Right. No playbook for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so that trip went great. That was in June. And then in August, Ryan flew here and met my family. And that went amazing. And I have a 4-year-old and a 13-year-old. And they love him.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Much. And then that was August. And then I think in September, I went back. I flew by myself there. And then in October, my cousin got married. So me and my daughter, we flew there. And at this time is when like Ryan and Sarah were coming and like hanging out with my family, like my mom's aunts or sisters, my aunts, like my family. And like they just fit right in. Oh, you have been here all along, And that also just like blows my mind, like when I just really sit and think about it, because we know there's all different types of people. I don't know. It's just crazy because, I was having a really hard time with, like, I was really mad that like we didn't grow up together because we were both only children. And I always wanted a sibling. I knew I didn't want a sister, so I always wanted a brother.
And only 9 months apart too, so it wasn't like we were in completely different sandboxes. We were a grade apart, 2 cities away. So
there's just so many similarities. It's just crazy. And my husband is like 10 years older than me, which doesn't really matter on a day-to-day basis. But sometimes you're like talking about a song, or you're talking about a movie or a popular culture of some sort, and he'll be like, "I don't know what you're talking about," and I'm like, "What?" And then walks in Ryan, and we're just like, "Oh, da, 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 da." You guys came down for
my birthday in January.
Yeah, in January.
Brought snow.
They brought a snowstorm, and literally, my son thinks that Uncle Ryan literally brought the snow. Like he really thinks it. So yeah, there was a snowstorm. They came, and then it was just like all of a sudden, it was like, "You guys should move here." Yeah, we always wanted to move to the Carolinas. Like, yeah, who doesn't want to move here? And then it was like, "Yeah, I think we're really gonna do that." Like, what? Really? And then it just happened. And then like in August here, they just moved.
Wow, cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
You physically live pretty close to each other now?
Yeah, he actually lives closer to my work than I do.
Yeah, my brother here thought we were crazy when, we had been back California maybe 2 weeks after meeting them all for the first time. And we had just been talking about nothing else other than like trying to figure out how we could move out here. And I remember when I called him, he was like, what did you say? You're gonna leave paradise in San Francisco and you're gonna I mean, not that New England's not nice, but you know, he was really anxious for us. You know, he worried that, you know, he and his wife have 3 children. He, you know, said, my gosh, we're always moving in 20 different directions. I think he worried that we would expect too much. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, get here and feel sort of alienated. But we're not those people anyway. But he didn't know us that well, you know? So I was like, Chris, I'm a big boy. I can tie my own shoes. We'll be cool.
Well, because I just thought, you know, if we had stayed in California and tried to figure out when we could come out, when they were, you know, free, it's like maybe you would see each other maybe twice a year at the most. And how well are you going to really get to know somebody when, you know, you're physically on completely different, you know, parts of the country? So, you know, a 3-hour time difference with phone calls and everything. It's like, you know what? I've always been really close with my family, and I thought, well, Kendall the third's out too. You know, he deserves the opportunity to get to know his siblings and his dad. And so, yeah, I don't think we have any regrets. So.
Not at all.
I can relate to how your brother felt because I felt that way too. I was like, although I wanted them here 100%, as it was happening, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if they don't like it here? It gets really hot, you know, like, ooh. And
That's part of like what I think's a little wild too about after we like got together and started talking, like when we learned, like, for instance, one city up in Cornelius, my wife has an aunt who is like a half aunt, basically. It's a stepsister of her mother, and or a half sister, I'm sorry. And we would come down here like before we got back together, literally. And the wife has family in the Savannah or the Charleston area. So we would, you know, come for a couple days, stay in Lake Norman, which is, like I said, a city away from where we're at now, where she's been. And like, we weren't connected yet, you know. And then like we talk about, oh, you know, yeah, I went to Kent, you know, in college. And it was like, well, we used to always hang out in Kent. You know what I mean? Like, well, yeah, we used to go to the bar over to bar. We used to always go to the bar. And like, we're just thinking like, wonder how many times we like bumped into each other or walked right past each other and didn't even think anything like that. So it's just wild.
yeah.
It is.
So let's go back. Ryan, your adoptive father, did you ask him why he waited so long to tell you that you were adopted?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, that was how he presented it, right? Like, he basically told me, look, you know, I'm, for the lack of a better term, I'm going to be basically in the doghouse for telling you this. But it was a situation where, like, that was like a point of contention between him and my mom that I didn't know about, where he wanted to do it like when I was like 16, 18, you know what I mean? It was like every birthday, basically, it would come up. He'd be like, okay, now, you know what I mean? And she'd be like, no, we'll do it, you know. And like, basically it just went too long for him. And like I said, he met me at a bar on my 21st birthday, and as we were drinking a beer together, he was telling me the story. And like, and that's what he said, you know. He was like, I can't keep it from you anymore, you know what I mean? And like, basically told me the story about how it all come together. So when I was like I said, not even, you know, 3 months old, it was like my actual father, you know, wanted to have like blood tests, and oh no, it ain't mine, and you know, like, and then my mom went and had the blood test done, you know what I mean? And he like tried, I will say, you know, my mother tells the story that he come over and basically didn't pay any attention to me. And then like the next week he was supposed to come and see me. It was, oh, I can't make it, or can we switch a day? And she was like, you know what? This headache is not worth the $100 that you're paying. So she said, like, promptly the next Monday, her lawyer called, was like, well, we're not going to pay $100 if we can't visit him or whatever. And she was like, that's fine. It's not worth it. And then, you know, cue my dad, they started kind of together, and, you know, 21, even longer than that, but 21 years later, he's telling me the story about how he came into my life.
So let's talk a little bit about the picnic with your biological father. Like, what was it like interacting with him? Or What was he like that day?
I mean, I guess I consider him an acquired taste. You know what I mean? Like, I went basically on the thought of like, medical conditions and, previous this and this knowledge, like, let me see what, like the only thing that I took out of it was, oh my God, I have a half sister that I live this close to, like, yeah, I think I got like a birthday card the next, like 6 months after that, close to my birthday. And then like, oddly enough, like in September, I got a birthday. My birthday's in January, so they got it right shortly after. But like, he kind of swung and missed the next time, like September or something. I got a birthday card, and then it was like no more contact. And it was with me and her. It was a situation where like, she's still going to school, working on her degree, and I just got out of school and I'm starting my career. You know what I mean? So it was like, it wasn't that we were like, we don't want to do with anything, but like it was just fast paced, you know what I mean? Like life was starting.
The timing was off.
Yeah.
But we are super thankful that we inherited our dad's looks. And then that's all.
Oh,
And not other things. Not other things. But I did take one of those family tree DNA. I did take one of those, but I only took one. Like, it had nothing to do with this. It was just like, oh, I wanted to know, whatever. And I get it back, and my mom's side of the family is Ukrainian. And obviously, I mean, I know, like, what my dad is. And I get it back, and I'm 75% Welsh, which is what my dad's dad is. He's from Wales. So then when Ryan came, I was like, I'm buying you. Did I get you that for your birthday or something? I'm like, here, I'm getting you this for your birthday. I need you to do it. And so then he does it, which, mind you, like, we are half. I mean, we don't ever say that, but it is what it is. And he is also 75% Welsh. I'm like, wow, this is like the DNA stuff. Like, it's just real. And Ryan, he really does look a lot like our dad, my dad. His mannerisms and everything. Since he's lived here, it's been a little bit like I've had to get used to that a little bit.
Yeah.
yep.
Because I don't talk to him. I don't talk to my dad ever since my wedding.
And my wife has even confirmed, like she said, I think they put on like an old like homecoming video or something where he kind of like showed up, took some pictures or something, and I was in the kitchen or they were watching this video in the other room, and I hear my wife exclaim, "Oh my God, he does that right there!" And I'm like, "What's going on?" And I come around the corner, and there's my father, and she's like, "No, you got to see this. Look, you stand just like that man." And I'm like, uh-oh. You know what I mean? So like, and then like she said, I guess there is some, as they say, the apple doesn't fall far.
Yeah, it's really crazy. It's really crazy.
I
But
can relate to that.
you just can't help it.
And it worked out kind of a situation where like, my dad had like darker hair, was different, but like I looked a lot like my uncle as well. So like when I was a kid, like I was almost like a spitting image of my uncle when he was a kid.
Your mom's brother.
Yeah, my mom's brother. So it wasn't illogical to me where I was just like, okay, I just look like my mom's side of the family. You know what I mean? Like I didn't get the dad traits. I got all my mom's, like light hair, blue eyes, you know what I mean? Like looking just like my mom's brother. So it wasn't like crazy that, you know what I mean, that my dad wasn't my actual father.
But Ryan has blue. I have brown eyes. Ryan has blue eyes, and my husband has blue eyes too. But if you like line up like my dad, Ryan, and my son's picture, wow, how much they all look alike.
Yeah,
it's really crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea, does your birth father know that you're connected?
Oh yeah, he knows.
Oh, okay.
That's a good story.
That's a good story. When this was all going down, I was like telling people at work and stuff. Well, people were like, "Why are you dropping pounds, Natalie?" And then I would tell them, and they're like, "That's a crazy story. You should really like call the newspaper." I'm like, "What?" Well, one day I was like, "Sure." Like after like the third person told me that, I'm like, "Sure, I will." So I did. And then this guy, when Ryan came in August, a reporter came out and did a story on us, and then they put it on the front page of the paper.
Wow.
And so I mean, this all has like stirred up so much, childhood trauma, as they say. I was like, I'm sending this to him, like he needs to know what's going on. And like I said, it just really bothers me. I mean, I understand now, like timing and why this happened now. And this is the time of life where we needed each other. But it still makes me angry that he kept that a secret. So I wanted him to know. So I sent him the article along with a letter. And I don't want you in our lives and you can't, blah, blah, blah. It's not like that at all. It's very much like the door's open if you want to have a conversation and walk in, you know? I'm not trying to say we're going to be all like best friends, but I did want to say too, like Ryan's dad, I never got to meet him, which I'm super bummed about that. But I feel like, so, you know, he's the one that told him. He's the reason why this all happened. We wouldn't have known. And then again, when I was trying to find him, you know, just a year and a half ago or however long that was, I knew his name, but that wasn't like good enough because it was like, it's too common. His name is too common. But then I knew that, like, I knew where he went to school. So if I typed that in and where he went to school, well, then his dad's obituary came up. And when I saw his dad's obituary, then I was able to know his wife's name. And then when I had him and his wife's name, then that's when I got their address. And then you know, really, if it wasn't for his dad, like this never would have happened.
How long ago did your dad pass?
I believe it was about 5 years ago. See, and like the other thing that like I think like I guess frustrates me is that our sides of the like her mom and my dad, they didn't have any idea about this. You know what I mean? So like this is what we learned when I went to go meet him. So it wasn't like, yes, they didn't tell me that, you know, about my actual father, but it wasn't like they were keeping that I had a sister somewhere from us. So like he was the link to that between us, you know what I mean? And he kept that from us. So like that's the other kind of complicated part about it too.
And I remember like when he told me, so when we were like I don't know, I was really angry about it, but I didn't act that way at all. Like I was angry towards him, but I was just like, oh, okay, you know? But he knows now that I'm not happy with it. So,
Well, Natalie, how long have your parents been split?
they were never married.
Okay, gotcha.
They were in a relationship, a serious relationship, but never married, thank God. So yeah, my mom raised me and I was by herself, single parent. I mean, he did help financially, which I recently found out how much that was.
Apparently us as kids, our going rate was $100 a month.
Apparently that's what it was.
That's what he offered to both of our mothers. So like
I mean, not sure that's a good price to be paying for a child in the 80s and the 90s. But okay, that's what you think. And it's interesting, like, as life is going on, how we're learning more and more. I mean, I think, you know, some of it is because we're adults, but some of it is because everything that has been going on. And so, like, more and more things are, like, coming out of the woodwork. And I am in therapy.
I am curious if the two of you had a conversation about the possibility that your birth father has more children out there.
Oh, yeah. I make the joke, and she doesn't really find the humor in it, but I like to tell her that, you know, in another 5 years, we're going to find out that we might have a basketball team out there. We can get a little 2-on-2 with a sub going or something, you know, like, and I think, like, you know, with doing that test, like, it was funny because, you know, you send those in and there's a little bit of lag between getting your results and stuff. And like, literally that lag I was at her house. I was on one of the trips here when I got the results, and we both got the email, and there was an email about like, oh, you know, hey, we found a family member, you know, this one person's real close, you know what I mean? And you look at it and like me and her it's like 1 and 2 on each other's lists, you know? Well, with being like, as logging in and getting that information, they get your email. Well, like the next day they had like a sale on the DNA test or something. And we like, I know my heart skipped a beat. I was like, uh-oh, you know what I mean? Like, I just thought somebody else out there was, you know, like, so he sticks to his guns that there's only 2 of us, but who knows?
Right.
Yeah, that was a major question we had.
Like, I think we've talked about it too. Like, it's the odds of it going like this relationship. I don't know. Maybe that's just, you know, like a DNA trait or something we assimilate, but you know, like it going as good as this one, I think would be, you know, foolish to hope for, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean, with Kendall out of six, I mean, yes, he's had communication with all of them, but they're not all close.
Right.
There's
So, but
six? Is that what you said?
6 half
Yeah.
siblings. My father had 3 others, and my mother had 3 others.
Okay.
Wow. Some you just really click with.
Absolutely. My brother that is physically near us, he and I are not very similar, but we love each other dearly. My sister, my local sister, we're close with her. My mother's daughter, it's right under me in age. She and I are really close too. So it's been wonderful. I mean, the other 3 I'm not quite as close to. They're busy people, and it's not malicious, I think. It's just, and we'll continue to build those relationships, hopefully. But I mean, honestly, if I had found one of these people, it's all worth it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just been fantastic. I mean, to your previous point, my father's ex-wife, so the mother of my local brother and sister, she's been very welcoming to Corey and me. The very first Christmas we lived here, we got invited to her family's huge Christmas gathering. And, I'm not related to any of them, right? Except my half brother and sister, but we were just accepted, and she's great. So, I remember when she met me, she hugged me and she said, because she knew about me. And she said, "Oh, honey, you're the baby we always wanted to find." And it just, it just touched my heart,
Yeah.
because I admire you, Ryan. I think I've never not known that I was adopted. Like, I don't, from the moment, I remember being like 2 and my mother and dad saying to me, most parents get stuck with whatever baby they have, but we got to pick you. I mean, they just made me always feel really special to be adopted. And I have to admit, I think I'd be pissed if I ever, if I hadn't known,
Yeah. I think that's kind of the way that I looked at it. And like you just mentioned, that, parents, biological parents, okay, that's the kid you got, you know what I mean? And it felt to me like after 21 years, and like I said, all the way up until his passing, you know what I mean? We were, thick as thieves. So that's what I felt really honored about, was I got chosen, you know what I mean? He could have very well just been like, "Whoa, I'm out of here." And, my mom's we'll say an acquired taste as well. She's we'll say a strong woman with her own opinions, you know what I mean? And he stuck it out with her for, you know what I mean, a long time. So knowing that he chose me and we had that bond together, father, son, not so much against the mom, but a bonding that we had. And it was really impressive to me.
So awesome that you two have been able to connect in this way, and then now being close, to each other. I'm sure that bond is just going to continue to grow. So then
well, it's a lot for me too, because me and my wife tried to have kids and we weren't able to. And then we talked about adoption, and it was I don't know, you hear stories about parents coming back again. And I was I can't, you know what I mean? That wouldn't be good for me. You know what I mean? So and then this coming into my life is a blessing. You know what I mean? I get to be Uncle Ryan. So and Aunt Sarah. So it's oh, this is great. So
yeah, my local brother's kids, we get to see them pretty often. I still cry when I talk about it, but I'll never forget when we opened our Christmas gifts a couple of years ago, and we had fun cold shirts, t-shirts, and it was just I made it to 47 without having nieces and nephews, so it just was. It's still to this day, it still feels sort of surreal, it's been 5 years, but
I have the same shirt, by the way.
Awesome.
And
and it just, it just warms my heart. I these kids are great, and they're so respectful to us, just really, but that part's been wonderful.
And to kind of go back to with having both of us being married and everything, like my wife, Aunt Sarah, has really taken to like her daughter. You know what I mean? Like they love going shopping. She's in between like doing the transition and making it down here to work remote, so she should be here around November, hopefully, fingers crossed. But like she's coming down this Wednesday coming up. They're doing like a river cleanup. We're all doing like a river cleanup with her daughter together. So like, and they go shopping, and you know what I mean. So like they've really bonded well together. So it's really made the experience real enjoyable. Everybody together.
And my son loved and Ryan, Uncle Ryan, gave him gum for the first time last week.
Oh, well,
And we talk fishing too, so that's next on the list.
Oh yeah, you did. That was just Friday, fishing and oh geez, all the fun. And he just started t-ball, and all the fun is happening. You know what it's all about.
well, I tell you, and I'm happy to hear that Ryan's wife is so supportive, but I mean, that's what matters a lot, I think, in our lives, that Corey suggested that we moved, 3,000 to be with these people. And my brother's wife is equally supportive. She's couldn't be better to us, than she is. My sister's husband, we're really, really fortunate because, some spouses probably wouldn't be,
Right. Yesterday, Brian and my husband Alan went golfing all day, and he said, and my husband told me today, he goes, I told Brian, thank you so much for getting me that hall pass because I wouldn't have been able to do that if he wasn't here. Totally true.
Well, and I must admit, my brother and I get together and we drink more whiskey than we would ever do if we weren't together, so.
Ours is tequila, but same difference.
So this ought to be a pretty fun holiday season, I would imagine, coming up.
I think so. We didn't get to do Thanksgiving or Christmas. I mean, Christmas we open gifts via like Zoom or whatever. So this holiday season will be super special and different in all the good ways.
And I like to cook, so like that's kind of like when I was a kid. I still remember I was going to go into culinary school, and I come home and I told my mom, hey, I'm going to culinary school, and I quote, if you want to learn how to cook, you can just go ahead and get in the kitchen. I got more than enough pots and pans. I'll show you whatever you want to make. Pick another career. And I went into now I'm a manufacturing engineer, but I went into like kind of the electronics industry, and I did MRI, and now I'm in kind of the railroad industry now for electronics. So like,
Awesome.
but that kind of spun off. I'm glad that happened because now I really enjoy being in the kitchen and cooking. So like holidays are my way to go.
And I don't like to cook, so I'm so excited. I just like to eat.
Yeah.
And that's what I told everybody too. I was like, look, I don't mind a white Christmas as much as the next guy, but these holidays, this will be the first I've been telling everybody this will be the first winter I've looked forward to. So like my winters have consisted of, for a good stretch, I worked in the snow belt. And if you're not familiar with what that is, you'll have 6 inches in your front yard. You'll have 3 times that in the snow belt. And I had to trudge through that. It wore on me, like the seasonal affective disorder, as they call it.
Right. These 4 years in New England have been, actually, we haven't had a lot of snow, but 0 snow is good for me. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of, but there was one time that it was 24 inches. So I'm out there with a snowblower, like, what are we doing?
Oh my gosh.
And that's why I couldn't believe when I come down for my birthday and that there's a snowstorm here that pretty much shut it down. Like,
Yeah.
like I said, Uncle Ryan went back to his bag of tricks and was like, well, Uncle Ryan's going to make the hot chocolate while you guys sled ride. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't need to see any of that. I got more than enough of that at home.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I'm imagining it's not going to snow this year.
Well, we wish nothing but the best for you two as you get to, know each other more. Your families get to know each other. It's a great story. Thank you for coming on and sharing it with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for doing the show, too. Like, just listening to other people's stories was very therapeutic.
Family Twist features original music from Cosmic Afterthoughts and is presented by Savoir Faire Marketing Communications.